First of all, in my own thinking, I think it's okay. I think it's okay to move out of your parents' house before marriage because it's transitioning to adulthood. Because now it means you're ready financially sustain yourself. You can pay for your bills and rent and food and the electricity bill.
That money you're saying that you'll be spending, paying rent, you can just live at your parents' house and you use that money to do other things which can help you to move from one stage to another. And on another side, I think many people move outside of their parents' house just because they want some freedom. But I don't think your parents cannot give you freedom if they love you. So I think that.
What's the story? 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 What's the story?
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is What's the Story podcast, and I'm with Liz. I'm going to be your host today. I'm with Cedric. Cedric, do you want to say hi?
Hi, I'm Cedric here. I'll be together with Iveris.
So, this is going to be a podcast where we try to release an episode every week. So, please stay tuned because we're going to have an amazing topics. Every now and then, we're going to build this community and we want to hear from you. We want to grow together and everything. So, without further ado, let's get into this episode. So, Cedric, do you want to tell us the topic of today?
Thank you, Everest. The topic of today is what culture says about moving you out of your parents' house before marriage. What do you think about this?
Yeah, so this is such a good topic. I love it. Because I think across cultures, there's a lot of different beliefs about this aspect. First of all, in my own thinking, I think it's okay. I think it's okay to move out of your parents' house before marriage because it's transitioning to adulthood because now it means you're ready to financially sustain yourself. You can pay for your bills and rent and food and the electricity bills and water bills will come in your name because you're grown up. So I feel like it's okay. It gives us a level of independence to do life and build life. Not necessarily that at home we don't have that type of freedom, but it's just like a transition to adulthood because at some point you're not going to stay in your parents' house forever. So in one way or another, you move out. So I don't really think it's necessary that you only move out of your parents' house when you're going to marry or live with your spouse. So that's just my understanding. What do you think, Cedric?
Thank you, Everest. I agree with you on one side, but not. I don't totally agree with you because I think you're saying like when you move out and all your bills are on you. So like I think if you stay at your parents' house, that can help you to save. So in case you move out when you're going maybe to have married, you maybe have some savings that are going to help you. I think that money you're saying that you'll be spending, paying rent, you can just live at your parents' house and you use that money to do other things which can help you to move from one stage to another. And on another side, I think many people move outside of their parents' house just because they want some freedom. But I don't think your parents cannot give you freedom if they love you. So I think that freedom they want is freedom to do bad things they can't do in their parents' house. So on my side, I think staying at your parents' house would be the best option because you're still under their guidance. So your parents are going to guide you to tell you what to do. I'm not meaning that they will be strict to you, but you'll be having someone who is taking care of you. So another thing you will be safe from peer pressure. It's people who are still living with their parents. They are not easily affected by peer pressure because when you're living alone, you spend most of your time with your peers, so you can be easily affected by peer pressure. So Another thing I can say is that when you're still with your parents, you're somehow protected from being spoiled easily. So I think the best option is to stay with your parents until you preparing maybe to get married. I'm not saying until you get married. Maybe when you're preparing to get married, maybe let me be doing this and this. But the best option is to stay at your parents' house. Yeah, that would be
So
the
you
case.
said about freedom to do whatever you want. In that case, that means when you move out, you have full rights. You have freedom to make choices that immediately affect your life. These choices can be bad or good. I don't think it automatically says, okay, you're moving out of your parents. It automatically means you're going to make bad decisions about your life. Because at some point, if you're finishing your high school and you're 18 years old, that's an instance, and you get an opportunity to study abroad, like your parents are not going to say, okay, we're not able to guide you when you go abroad, so just stay here and not go to school. Or let's say you're after your university and you find a job elsewhere that is not near your home. Your parents are not going to say, okay, stop going to work because we think, oh, we might not have control over her life or something like that. So I just feel like there's a level of balance between the choices we make when we move out of a parent's house. Because on the other hand, let's also normalize that some people, well, not normalize, but acknowledge the fact that some people are living in very toxic relationships with their family members. And I think it's healthier to move out than stay in that household because that could really affect someone's being, mental being, emotionally, and everything, which would be better if they left their parents' house. So I just feel like there's a lot of factors that can contribute to someone moving out of a parent's house, and I don't necessarily think it makes them lose control over your life or then you start making bad decisions. But I know it happens in some cases. In most cases, by the way, not everyone is because it's a given level of freedom. Like there's no one to say, okay, what did you do today? I know some people just make some bad choices and get spoiled, quote unquote, like you were saying. But I just feel like it's not always negative to move out of your parents' house. That's just my opinion.
Like you've talked about different things and I want to say something about. Let me start with there are some people who live with toxic family members, and like that would be like an exception somehow. Because I'm not saying you have to stay with your parents, because like there's also some children who have like responsible parents. So like when they move out, it could be even be more safe to them than staying with their parents, depending on the parents they have. So for me, I'm saying with those children who have responsible parents, responsible family members, and they want to move out. And another thing you said is those who may be going abroad, going to study abroad, or having a job far from their home. That would be more understandable, and that because the parents cannot be able to go abroad with you or to go where you are going. But I'm saying, like for children who work maybe near their home or who are studying near their home, and maybe they want to go in ghetto and be staying with other young people. So that's the ones I'm saying. But for those who are going abroad, that's easy to understand. Another thing you said, freedom. Like when you move out, that's when you have freedom. I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you on that, because I don't think your parents' house is a prison. So that's why I say that freedom you want is for bad things, because I don't think your parent hates you to limit you to things that can make you happy, to limit you to things that he or she sees that can affect your life. So that's the reason so that freedom you don't have when you are at your parents' home. It's good when you don't have that freedom, because that freedom I don't think is important to you. It may be toxic to you.
I love that you're sharing that freedom can be toxic, but let's also say freedom can be freedom, like you have freedom to do what you want. And it does not automatically mean you're doing bad decisions. Like, that's my point. Because I know for sure our parents' house are not prisons. Our parents' house do not limit us from doing things. But mind you, you cannot do whatever you want at your parents' house, at least in our culture. Because in other cultures, people do whatever they want at their parents' house. Some people throw parties and do things, like in Europe. We all know that. But in our culture, the Rwandan culture, that's not going to happen. And why do you say our parents' houses are not prisons? Let's not call them prisons, but it's like an unspoken name of our homes, because some children are sneaking out of their parents' house during the night to go out partying, and their parents are not even realizing that, because they come back before daylight, before their parents go to work. And I know some children who will pretend they're coming from sports to meet their parents coming out of like driving out of the driveway going to work. Oh, my son is from sports. Okay. I even like had a conversation with one of my classmates. Like, they said they come out of the night activities and then they come in around 4 a.m. in the morning. They're washing their parents' car because it's their duty, and then their parent is coming out 5 a.m. in the morning, checking the car, it's fine, everything is fine. He goes to work 6 a.m. in the morning, and then the child goes to sleep the whole day because they were out the whole night. Like, how do you explain that? How do you say our parents' house are not prisons? Like, first of all, do you agree that these things happen?
Yeah, in some cases, like there are some cases you find like that things happen, but it's not something big.
What do you mean? Because the thing is, my point is, if you want to move out, move out. Because even culturally, people will look at you when you are like 27 or 30 and you're still living in your parents' house. Like, whether you move out or move in, they're still going to like look at you. Oh, he's not married? Like, what is he still doing there? And then it's even worse if you don't have a job or if you're not studying. Like, it's even worse. So at the end of the day, I just feel like everyone has a choice to be like, okay, mom and dad, this is what I want to do with my life. And if they're sensible parents, they'll discuss about it with you. If they're not, you'll have to make a decision and let them know and do what you gotta do. Because at the end of the day, it'll be fun. Like, it will be tough to decide if you think you
Yeah,
can
if
always
there
be
is
with your
on that, you
parents.
say on that, like there are some. I agree. There are some irresponsible
Yeah.
parents. So as I said, there are some parents who it will be even more better to move out, like staying with
Yeah.
them, that's more dangerous. But I'm saying to those who have responsible parents, on what you said like in our culture, you find our parents limit our freedom. Like, but when you go to Europe, you find that their parents leave their children to explore themselves. For me, I like African culture. Like, the reason that is spoiling us is trying to cope what others do. Yet we have different societies and with different understandings. Because I don't see the European culture as the best culture to adapt. Because when we adapt something, because for them they have been in it for so long, they have been having that freedom for so long. So, and when you see, yeah, when you see where more drugs are used, that's in Europe, where there is different uh, habits. You find like children start having sex at maybe at 12, drinking, taking drugs. I think all of those are caused by that freedom. So I don't think that culture is the best culture to adapt. Maybe you can adapt their technology, the way they do things, but the way we Africans raise their kids is the best culture, is because they give us the discipline. Because when you know you mature enough, like they also tell you why are you not moving out. When it's time for them, they start asking you why you're not moving out, like on their side. So I don't think it's you who have to try to move out, that you're going to look for freedom outside. So I think that's, as I have been saying, is trying to adapt bad habits. You say that you find some kids sneaking out for parties. So like partying is good, but it depends on the way it's done. Because most of the time, those parties that children are sneaking out to go, they are toxic to their life. That's why their parents cannot allow them. Because I think if it's a normal party which is you are going to enjoy, but nothing is going to spoil you, I think your parent cannot he can allow you to go there because he loves you, like, oh, she loves you. Our parents loves us. Our parents loves us. They are not our enemies. So they provide us with every. Imagine someone who paid for your school fees, feeds you, give you a house. So why, like, what he wishes you is something good. So if your parent doesn't allow you to go to party, I don't think it's just because he hates you. Because if that one was something good for you, he could give it to you.
Yeah, what you said is very true though. Like every parent does their best at parenting because if they knew any better way, they would do it that way. Like what our parents are doing, that's like the maximum of their capacity. Because at the end of the day, you cannot give what you have, so the amount of love your parents give you, it's the amount of love they can offer. Like that's how they like that's the only way they do it. Because let's also admit that parenting is hard because these are two separate humans and you're trying to like be good to the other little human and they have their own emotions and abilities and mindsets and thinking. So parenting is not easy. But you shared something about like time. You said when is the right time, like according to you, when is the right time to move? Like, is it when you're 24, when you're 27? Is it when now you have a job, regardless of your age? Because, in my opinion, I feel like the right time is when you think it's the right time, like according to your own understanding. In my opinion, if I'm like 22, for example, and I want to move out of my parents' house, say I have my own job, I can financially sustain myself. Or if I'm going to study abroad, I'm going to have like a part-time job, something, to just like get my life going. I feel like it's the right thing to do as long as I know the consequences that come with it. So if I make a decision to move out of my parents' house, the consequences will be, okay, now I'm responsible of my life. The choices I make will impact my life directly. So I just feel like I want to hear from you. Like, when is the right time to move out, according to your own opinion?
Okay, thank you. I agree with you on some points. To me, the time to move out of your parents' house is when you're mature enough. But being mature enough, this is when you're now responsible for your own life. When you know, like, when I do this, I'm going to be the one to face the consequences. So, like, when you mature enough, knowing, like, doing the right thing in the right time with the right people at the right place, like that's when you're responsible now for your life. So moving out, I cannot say it will depend on age or financial stability. It will depend on, like, someone might be responsible when he's 20, and you find someone who is 30 or 35, he's not even responsible. So it doesn't depend on age. So what you mentioned about when you're going abroad. So going abroad or going far from your parents, that's an exception, because sometimes you find that you don't have other choice. You need good education, and you want to go abroad and explore. You don't have other option. You can't go with your parents. So that's understandable. But we are saying, for me, I'm just trying to focus on those who want to move out. They are not going to study abroad. They're not going to work far from their home. So for me, those are the ones that I'm saying, like, they don't have to move out, because it doesn't look good in our culture. Like, your parents are in Lemera maybe, and for you live in Kimiro. Like both of you are still in Kigali, but you don't want to go and live with your parents. You just want that freedom. So what's that freedom for? I think if someone maybe have a job, he can stay with his parents or her parents, just to save that money for rent. Maybe he can use that money for other investments. So you didn't say anything about this point of saving. Instead of going and spend that money for taking care of yourself, why can't you use that money for other investment, as you still have that opportunity of having parents who can care about you?
Like, I also agree. Some people want to just like have that freedom to do bad things, but in my opinion, I just feel like if you want to do something, you need to know the consequences, and if you can bear the consequences of your actions. Because if you merely want to move out simply because you feel like there are things that you want to do, let's say for example, freedom of like drinking, staying out late, partying, nightclubs. This life is sometimes, some people don't really understand the effect of these things if you make it like a lifestyle. Now, I want to make it clear that it's up to you if you choose that path, but bear in mind the consequences. And then you said like saving. So what I think about that is moving out does not automatically mean you're going to spend your money unwisely. This is why I say that. If you want to move out of your parents' house, it's not necessarily because, oh, I just feel like I don't want to live with my parents anymore. No, it's because you have life goals and you want to start to build your life in a different path away from your parents. Not that you hate your parents, not that you don't want to leave them you don't want to live with them anymore. It's just like you're making a decision and you've chosen a different path. Because at some point you'll get married and you'll move out of your parents' house. At some point, maybe you're going to study abroad, maybe you're going to go to work. I feel like those moments too will impact you moving out of your parents' house either way, whether you do it before you get married or not. So my point is, you can still save if you're living out of your parents' house. You can still support your parents and yourself if you're moving out of your parents' house. You can still plan your future, your marriage, your children. Like, okay, what will my children wear? What school will they go to? What food will they eat? What house do I want to live in with my family? How many children do I want to have? You can still think, okay, how am I going to survive in retirement? I need to start saving for my retirement, which is also another topic though. Some people don't think about. Some people only live in this current day and age and forget that they will get old and they're 80 years old, their parents are dead, and maybe their children are also living their life and they're not able to sustain them. So the thing is, if I get old, do I have money to sustain me before I die? Like, we also need to save for retirement, and I feel like that's not a topic that is stressed enough, and it's very, very important. So I feel like moving out does not automatically mean now you're spending your money unwisely. Instead, it has other reasons. Maybe it's because you want to move out of a toxic relationship with your parents. Maybe you have toxic relatives. You don't want to be around them. Maybe you're going to work. Maybe you're going to study. So that will impact you moving out, not necessarily saying, okay, now I have to spend all my money, all my cash. Like, that's what I think. What do you think?
I will go on your side a bit about this having toxic relatives. Sometimes you find like children struggling with their parents or their relatives they have. Like, for example, those children who have stepmom or step parents or step brother and sisters, you find that they are treated in a different way. So for those children, I can't say totally they have to move out, because sometimes you have to have patience and struggle when you know what you want, because you might find moving out is not the best option, yet you still, maybe they torture you, maybe they treat you differently, but they feed you. You can use that opportunity maybe to be building yourself. But at some time when you see it's going to exceed, instead of having depressions and end up committing suicide, you can move out. So you said when you move out, you're going to learn how you're going to manage your life. I agree with you. Experience is the best teacher, but being responsible doesn't only mean that you have to be having that experience, because there are some people who have been struggling with their life, but you see them that the experience haven't taught them anything. So to know how you are going to budget your life, how you're going to spend, it doesn't need that you have to go out direct and you struggle. That when you struggle, that's when you're going to know how to manage your things. So, and I think as if you're a good learner, you can learn from your parents the way they manage their things. You can be working when you're staying at your home. That's when you working, you can even start by managing the salary you get or the income you have when you are still with your parents. At some time you say that you can go abroad or go far away from your parents. I'm not saying staying with your parents doesn't mean that everything you do is your parents' load. So staying with your parent doesn't mean that you can't make your own choices or your own decisions. So, but the point I keep emphasizing is that many people want to move out just because they want freedom to do bad things. You mentioned even about retirement. This also should be in another topic, because most of the time we young people, we live as if we are going to die tomorrow. We don't think about our future most of the time. Sorry to say this, but girls, because we find like we want to have fun, enjoy. We forget that we are going to have a future. We are going to have a family to take care of. So I think it will be better if we start thinking even about our future. But thinking about our future, it's not about moving outside, because you can start saving when you are with your parents. That's why I was saying like you can be with them and save that money for future, because there's a time you're not going to be with your parents, because you're not going to be with your parents all the time. So you can be with them as you still have that opportunity. When the time comes to go far away from them, you use that money you have been saving. So I think we start saving for retirement. We start thinking about our future in some years to come. What will I be having? So when my parents, even you have to think about when your parents are gone, because we don't know what life brings to us. So I think we will discuss more in the next episode. I think you can just make a conclusion. Maybe we meet again.
Wow, what a topic. I love where this conversation was going. So guys, what do you think about this topic? What is your thoughts? Like, let us know in the comments. What does your culture say about moving out of your parents' house before marriage? We want to hear your comments in our next episode. And see you soon. Stay tuned next week for another amazing topic, and we will see you there. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Iveris, for coming.
Thank you, Cedric. Stay safe.
What's the story? What's the story? What's the story? What's the story?